not gonna put this in the vlog.
Why?
No, I'm not gonna, because I'm just not. I'm not gonna put it in the vlog. We're going to Breckenridge. About 2 hours later, we finally made it to Breckenridge. Our goal here today is to get some crepes and tea as well. Still in there with Justice. She's gonna buy the tea. I had to come outside because Senor Squirrely Pants had to get out of the store. Family photo shoot session. Today has been quite the day up here in Breckenridge. Probably waited a total of like 2.5 hours in line just to get crepes. Monet and Justice are actually still waiting in line, but Zion and I are in the car. Zion's actually sleeping right now. And it's only 15-minute parking. I have about 10 minutes left in 15-minute parking. Today is day 189, and we're looking at 2 Kings chapter 18, only the first 8 verses, and then we're looking at 2 Chronicles 29, 30, and 31, and Psalm 48. The 3 chapters we're looking at in Chronicles really detail the 8 verses that we read about in 2 Kings. Hezekiah has begun to reign. He is the son of Ahaz, and he is probably one of the best kings since King David to rule over Judah. And what's happening in these chapters is he's bringing about all this spiritual reform. You know, there have been kings that have been called, according to Scripture, men that were good in the eyes of the Lord, but there was usually one issue with all of them, and that issue was that they never tore down the places of idol worship in the kingdom. And Hezekiah does that. He tears it all down, and not only does he tear it down, but he actually reestablishes in a very real and palpable way the law and proper worship of Yahweh in the kingdom of Judah. But the big idea here in our passages for today is the idea of reform or reformation. That's exactly what Hezekiah does with the kingdom. And Psalm 18 really is a psalm that we could easily plug into the reestablishment of the worship, in the sense that the people are just praising and worshiping Lord. And that's really what all that is happening in Psalm 48. Yes. And the only way that spiritual reform can really happen in your life and in my life and in the grand scheme of things is if Christ, our King, enacts that reform. You see, the kings are really a type of foreshadowing for the coming Messiah. And Hezekiah, his reform and everything that he caused to happen in the kingdom to bring the people back to proper worship of Yahweh, is really a reflection and a foreshadowing of ultimately what Christ has done, not just for the people of Israel, but for all humanity. In this channel, our hope and goal is to look to Jesus and to see the glory and the majesty of Jesus, and we see that here reflected in King Hezekiah. And as Hezekiah is enacting all of this reform, once again reminds us that the only true and permanent reform that can happen in our lives is a result of what Jesus does in our life. But the thing with that is we tend to, even as followers of Jesus and having trusted in Jesus, we still kind of think that reform has yet to happen. Like we're looking for like the next spiritual level, then we'll be great. But the reform is really wrapped up in what he did on the cross and his resurrection. And we don't have need for any other means of reformation or salvation or redemption. The cross is enough. And we look to Jesus for that today.